Yesterday we did a lot in the introduction part of it. We did a bit of integers and strings. All the operations that one can do in a string, we were able to do them. So let me admit this. So in Python, what you need to understand is once you know how to deal with the data types, you are good to go. As we said, Python is very easy as long as you understand what the items are and what each of them has to do with the operations in it. So the first item you need to understand is interacting with integers, then interacting with the strings, how to manipulate strings in Python. Number 3, one of the data type being Boolean. We're going to look through all the items that can be done in a Boolean. Then we have other data types like lists, tuples, and dictionaries. All of them we have to deal with them end to end. So once you understand how to deal with that data types and variables, then understand how to do the control structures, Python won't be a big deal to you, because in whichever programming step you'll take, you'll have to work with either a list, a variable, or a Boolean, or an integer. You have a control structures, the control structures, and a bit of objects and functions. Is there anybody who has a problem or a question concerning what we covered yesterday? If not, we'll start with the Booleans. Let me get to my VS Code. I hope you're able to see. So I'll create a file here. Let's call it boolean.py. Now, what are these Boolean? Boolean are like a binary questions or a binary variable which returns either a true or a false. So in binaries we only have two results. It's either something is true or something is false. By true it means is there somebody requesting? Yes, let me. Okay, go ahead and ask before we proceed.
Hi, good afternoon everyone. My name is Lori. I have a question regarding what you have displayed on your screen.
Yes.
You sent something on the email for us to clone, but whatever I cloned, I can see something totally different. So I don't know whether it is the one that you're using or maybe it's another one that I cloned.
So whatever I shared is the assignment repository.
Okay.
And this is a class work. We are trying to learn a bit of Python before we jump into the assignment. We are going to discuss the assignment at the end, but we need to clean up something first. So as I was saying, Boolean are data types that return only two values or two results. It's either a true or a false. By binary mean there are only two options. It's either something is true or something is not true. For example, let me yes. For example, if you have two variables, let's say x is 10 and y, let's assign this to 5. Then you try saying if somebody is requesting, we try checking is 5, which is y, greater than x. So if it finds that y is greater than x, we will get a true. But if y is less than, or is the reverse of the expression, we are expecting a false. So let's try running. I hope everybody can understands how to run Python modules. So you start by Python, then space the module name, boolean.py. As you can see, it's a false because we are trying to check between the value 10 and 5, and we're saying check if 5 is greater than 10. Since 5 is less than 10, we get a false. But what if we reverse this and say y is less than x? What result do we expect? Is a true. So it is true. 5 is less than 10, like that. So those are the two outcomes that we expect in a Boolean. So as we said, one Boolean is represented, or it is rather represented in either true, sorry, it's capital T, a true or a false. Something is either true or something is false. So in Python, most of the expressions that we check always return a true if they exist, or a false if something is not right or does not exist. For example, if you want to check x here, if x if x, we are checking if value if the x variable has a value, print, let's just x has a value, like that. You want to check if there is something in the x variable. So what does it show? X has a value because it is true, x has something in it. But what if we don't have anything in x? For example, a 0. Let's test. We have nothing because this statement is false. If we include another statement here, like an else, then we say print x does not have a value, or doesn't have a value. If we check that, we expect the otherwise, or the other option. So as we said, Boolean works in only two outputs, is either true or a false. So any expression that exists will always return a true. If it doesn't exist, it will return a false. The only option that an expression will return a false is if we have the value 0, or we have an empty string like that, or a white space, or if you have an empty list, an empty tuple, or an empty dictionary. So anything that is empty, you always expect a false. But if there's any value in it, you expect a true. Let's test this. Let's test all these. We'll change the value. We'll change the values here to at least. We start by doing an empty variable x. Let's say x equals something empty, like that. Let's uncomment this. Let's uncomment this. Now we are checking if x will have a value, then what to expect if x is not empty. We'll execute this. If x has a value, we get if x has a value, we get this. If x doesn't have a value, we get this. Let's test for an empty string. As you can see, we don't have any value in it. What if we add something like Juma? What do we expect? As you can see, x has a value. Let's try passing the value itself, using an f string. Pass x. We pass an f string x in it with an f at the start or at the beginning, like that. As you can see, has a value Juma. But if we clear this and save, we expect it not to have a value, like that. That is for a string. Let's do the same for an integer. Sorry, I need to use this one. The first need to use this. I'll just paste it here. We'll say this is for strings. Then below here we do the one for an integer. So we pass an integer value like 30 here. Let's admit somebody. Yes, now for this integer we're trying to check if we have a value in it, we expect this to run. If we don't have a value, we expect this to run. As you can see, we have a value. So integers, be it positive or negative, let's try a negative integer, we expect a true. But if we switch this to a 0, what do we expect? The false. The false to run. So if an integer, any integer, negative or positive integers returns true. Only a 0 returns false in integers. Let's try another data type. We'll say a list. Just go ahead with the same. Say a list. We'll create a list here. A list of fruits. Let's say apple. We have a mango. We add another item, banana. Just that is enough. Now we try to check if we have x, then that. If you don't have anything, then run the other option. I hope you can see we have this returned as true. Let's try to change it a bit. We do a print bool x, then we print below the above this we print bool x2. Let's say, as you can see, we have a true here, and we also have this executed. But if we decide to declare something that is empty, an empty list like that, what will happen? Let's try running. As you can see, we have a false and we have an empty list. We check for tuples. For a tuple is defined with the parentheses like that. So let's say we create a tuple of fruits. Let me just borrow whatever is above there. Borrow this, but change the square brackets to parentheses. Then we check if we have, this is for a tuple. We check if we have something. If X, then return this block. If not X, return the other block. Let's run. As you can see, we have it is returning the value true, and we have the value of X being displayed. What if we define an empty tuple? What will happen? Let's change. Let's change this and do it as an empty tuple like that. What will be the results? Let's run. Hope you can see we have a false and we have an empty tuple. The same happens for dictionaries. If you declare a dictionary is declared like that with we have a key, let's say name, and a value, Juma, age, say this is 20, like that. So if we try that, we should be able to get a true because we have the value. But if we declare an empty one like that, we expect it to go to the false like that. I hope we've learned something. That's okay. Now if you are to check some operations, for example, if you are to check some operations, we'll move back to the integers. If you are to check print 10 is greater than 9, what do you expect? We expect a true. Let me clear here. This. If we run that, we expect a true because it is true. 10 is greater than 9, like that. What if we try 10 is, we try checking if these values are the same.
Alan, I think you are muted.
Oh, sorry. I don't know. From which point were I muted? So that I repeat.
Just above the tuple.
Oh, okay, above the thank you. I think something happened. Sorry, apologies for that. Let's repeat. Okay. So let me go back. We've done strings, we've done lists. So you mean up to this point, the lists?
Yes, yes.
Okay, we were done with the list. Then the tuple. So as I said, if you declare, let me make comment. Yeah, so if you declare a tuple like that, you should expect a result. If you have you should expect a true if you have something in the tuple like that. So let's run. As you can see, we have the true as a result, and we have the value of x being displayed. If you do an empty tuple, just as here, if you do an empty tuple, what you expect is that this block would be executed. Let's run that. I hope you can see we have the false or the false result displayed. For a dictionary, we do a dictionary. A dictionary is declared using the curly brackets. So if, let's say, you have a dictionary like name being Catherine, age being, let's say, 20 years, but if you do 20 years like that, should be a string. A gender, sorry, gender being, let's say, to female, like that. So let's try running, see what will happen. As you can see, we have a true executed or as an output, and the value of our dictionary displayed. But what if we have nothing here? Let's comment. If we have nothing, what will happen? We get a false. Just like that. As I said, if you have a positive integer, let's say x being either a positive integer or a negative integer or a string value like the name Chuma, or a list like mangoes and orange, or a tuple like banana, apple, or a dictionary like name Susan, age, should have a key and a value, age 20. Any of these should give you a true, any of these, because we have a value in x. But if you have x being declared as 0 for the integers, an empty string for the strings, an empty list for the lists, an empty tuple for the tuples, an empty dictionary like that, we expect a false. For the other values, we expect a true. Hope you've understood that. Up to there, we are okay? Yeah, great. Now we are going to go back to the integers. Let me admit whoever is requesting. Thank you. Let's move back to the integers. If we try to check whether 10 is greater than 9, the expected value should be true, because it is very true that 10 is greater than 9. Let's run it here. As you can see, we get a true. Let's try this one. For the for us to check if 10 is equal to 9, if this is true that 10 is equal to 9, we expect a true. But if it is false, we expect a false. But for our own understanding, we know that 10 is not equal to 9, so we expect a false here. Let's try executing. We have a false. Now if you try checking, for the first set, we say 10 is greater than 9. What do we expect? We expect a true, because it is not greater. We are checking. We are trying to check. Sorry, is 10 less than 9? So for this case, we expect a false, because it is very true that 10 is not less than, or we can say it is false that 10 is less than 9. As you can see, we have a false, because 10, logically we know that 10 is greater than 9. Now, instead of doing a comparison with real integers, we can as well assign them variables. For example, let's say we have A being 200 and B being 30. We try to check if B greater than 9, not 9 but B, sorry, B is greater than A, sorry. We say print, we stringify it, say the value of B is greater than the value of A, like that. What if we find it is the otherwise? We do an else. We say print, just copy this, say this is not greater than that, than A. Let's try running from here. As you can see, 30 is not greater than 200, just as so. Since the value of B is 30, the value of A is 200. If we try to compare the two, that we try to check if 30 is greater than 200, we get a false. So that means this block is not executed. We move to the next block, we get this one, the one that lies in the false side. So what is this Boolean type used for, or used to do in Python? Number one, it is used to evaluate values, either they are true or they are false. The uses of Boolean or a bool type, it's used to evaluate values as either true or false, like that. Just as what we've been doing, we check if it is true or it is false. So if you were to check for a string, for example, we do a print, check if this is a boolean, we do bool, we try to check to test if we have this value. Like that. Let's see if it returns something. It is true. This checks if we have anything in the string, if we have anything passed as a value. But if you remove this, you expect a false, like that. That is for integers. For integers, sorry. It's either you have the value, this one returns true, and this one returns, if it is empty you get a false, like that. It is either a true or a false. If you have to check for sorry, this is for strings or strings, maybe not strings. Then move to the integers. Sorry, integers. For the integers, we try comparing, we try checking integer values. Let's say 20, 29, like that. We expect a true. Let's execute this. We expect a true. We have a true. But if you don't have a positive or a negative value, if we do this as a negative value, we expect a true. But if you do a 0, you expect a false. So if that is positive, we get a true. If it is negative, we get a true. If it is a 0, we get a false. Remember the number line, which starts from negatives to positives. That is what it checks. You can see we have a true, a false, true, true, false, like that. So this is when you compare items directly, but even if you wrap them in a variable, you literally expect the same. Let's say you have an x equals to Juma. You try to check bool, or let's print bool x. What do we expect? We expect a true. That is for the strings. If we move to the integers, we pass a positive value like 30. We expect a false, like that. No, sorry, not a false, but we expect a true if it is positive or negative. Even if we are using a variable, we expect a true. Sorry. So if you switch to 0, you expect a false, like that. In Python, most values are always true. If you have a value, almost everything is evaluated as a true. Expect where there is an empty. If it is empty, you get a false. Any numerical number, you get a true as long as it's not a 0. For the lists, you get a true unless it's empty. For the tuple and dictionaries, the same applies. It returns a true or a false if it is empty. That's like that. Now there are different applications of Boolean. We'll look into each of them. Now for those who did class-based or classes, you can say when dealing with Python we do objects and classes. When you define a class with the len, we call it a len. Is it a constructor or what? let me just define it, then let me just write it here before we discuss it. So for example, you are creating a class, let's call this my class, a class, my class. We use the definition. We say a len underscore, then we do a self, we return 0. Sorry, 0. If we try calling the class, let's say my object equals to my class, then try printing, we print bool my objects. Let's see what it returns. We can see we get a true. A class, and the definition underscore len underscore returns a true. But in which cases are we getting a false? If we return a false, we can return a false or a true from here. If we return a false, we should get a true. If we return a true, we should get, let's turn a true. True. What should we expect? We also get a true. So for as long as we use the underscore len underscore, we always get a true. Now if we have, let's say, a function like this, returning either a true or a false, or when we execute something and we get a result as a true or a false, we can execute a block of code with that, just as what we saw here. Let me see, just as what we saw in this case. If a value is true, we can run a block of code. If it is false, we run a block of code. How do we apply this? For example, we can say, if let's say you are doing a system, let's say you're building a system, and you say you have, let's say, somebody trying to access a resource and he or she is not authorized. So you check if that person is authorized, you give that person the rights. If it's not, he or she is not authorized, you return either an error or you redirect. Such are the usage of a boolean. You only get two options: either that person has the rights or he or she doesn't have the rights, and in each case you can execute a block of code. I hope that is clear. Today I want us to move very fast because there's a lot we need to cover. I need us to move very fast. Having gathered that, I hope there are some characters you see. Just for, if you consider this line, there are a number of things involved. 1, the variable; 2, this operator; and 3, this value. We want to check what does this do. That moves us to the next level, operators. I guess the first assignment was done in this chapter, where you are to execute the addition, subtraction, multiplication and division. These are operators that we use in Python programming to execute arithmetic operation, or we can say mathematical operation. So as I said, these are the kind of signs or operators that we use in Python to execute a mathematical operation. For example, if you have x equals 10 and y being 20, for you to do the sum, you use sum being the x plus y, like that. So the operator used here, we have the sum and the equal sign. What are they? We'll have to check on them. We have a group of operators. We have a group of operators, so we'll check one each of them. One being we have the arithmetic operators. Arithmetic operators, for example, we have the plus, minus, the asterisk, the exponential, we have the modulus, we have the division. Then we have assignment operators. Number 2, we have assignment operators. Operators, the likes of the equal sign, whatever we used here to assign a value to a variable, that is an assignment operator. We have another group being comparison operators. I hope you encountered the greater than, less than, the greater than, the greater than or equal to, the less than or equal to, not equal to, like that. Those are comparison. You are comparing two values. Then we have the logical operators. The logical operators, the logic. If you did logic gates, you know this. An, or, we have and, or. If let's say you are comparing multiple expressions like x less than 10 and x greater than 1, so it's like you want to execute something only when x is between 9, we can say between 2 and 9, or if you want to include the 1, you can say greater than 0, so that we say you execute the function if only x is between 1 and 9. These are not the values, the endpoints are not included, but if you do an equal sign, you include them like that when the value is 0, between 0 and 10, like that. We'll do them later. We're just introducing them. Number 5 being the identical operators. Let me not complete the operators. I want the identical. We also have the membership. Number 6, sorry. We have the membership. Membership. Number 7 being the bitwise operators. We'll dive into each of them step by step. We start with the arithmetic. let's start with the arithmetic and how are we using them. Under the arithmetic, this is where you have the ones that do the mathematical operations in Python. One being the plus sign, which signifies addition. Number 2, we have the negative sign, which is subtraction. Oh, sorry. So we have another one being the asterisk for multiplication. In this case, we have the x plus y. In this case, we have the x minus y. In this case, we have x multiplied by y, like that. Next is the division, which is written as x divided by y, like that. We have the modulus, used to find the remainder of a value. You can say x modulus y. In this case, let me explain it further. If you have like 7 divided by 3, we get 2 rem 1, remainder 1. So in this case, we get this as the result. So the results here will be 1. So 7 modulus 3 gives 1 as the result. We get the remainder, not the, we get, is it a quotient or what? You know, when doing a division, you have the divisor and the quotient, the results, etc. But whatever is remaining is now assigned to the modulus as the modulus value. If you're doing this as 6 modulus 2, you get a 0 since there's no remainder. If you try 10 modulus 4, you get a 2 as the remainder. Such cases. So we have another being the exponential. Exponential is written as double stars. Exponential, like that. If let's say you're doing x exponential y, then you have the float or the float divider. The float divider is written as doubles of forward slash. The float divider will be expressed like the float divider. Is it a flow divider? Divisor. Let's say you have x, y, like that. How do we use each of them? Let's see. For the first case, as we always know, if you do a summation of two values, we'll define them here. We'll define x x being let's just do 89, y being 10, not 10 but let's do 9. For the summation we can say print x plus y. You expect an where are we? We are on operators. Sorry, need to change to operators like that. So we get a 98 because this is a summation. If we change these two, this is the addition, the addition sign. For the subtraction, we say print x minus y. We should get the results as that. If you do the multiplication, we'll be doing print. Let's print x multiplied by y. What is the result? You can see 801. If you do a division, do a forward slash, which is print x divided by y or divided by y. You get the division like that. For the modulus, let's say we say print x modulus y. Should be able to get the remainder of the division, which is 8. So if you divide 89 by 9, we get an 8 for 72, or is it a 9 for the 81? Then we get a remainder of 9 and 8, sorry, not 9. So now for the exponential, we do print x double star y. Does it return? Can you see we have that value? What does this mean? Does it mean, it means n, which is x raised to power 9. It's let me find the power 9, or x power y. Then we do the flow divider, or the flow divisor. Print x by y. You should get a 9. We get the exact results. I hope that is okay. We move to the next set. The next set is the assignment operator. The assignment operator. For this assignment operator, we have one of them being the equal sign, which is used to assign values to a variable. Mostly we use it to assign values to a variable. For example, if we do age 20, we are assigning the value 20 to the variable age. So this sign is to map this value to this variable. So as one of the assignment operator, as we said, it's the equal sign. Then we have another one as the plus with an equal sign. What does this do? If you have a case like incrementing values, let's say you want to increment a value whenever a loop goes through, you want to increment by 1, you can use this operation. For example, x equals, or x plus, I don't know what's happening, let me escape. X plus equals 1. What does this mean? It says x equals the value of x plus 1. If you say x plus equals 2, it should be the value of x the new value of x will be the current value of x plus 2, like that. Then you have the negative sign with an equal sign. What does this do? This is like a decrement. This is incrementing, this is decrementing. We can say x minus equals 1, which translates to x equals the value of the new x will be the value of x minus 1, if it is x minus equal 1. If you change to 2 or 3, it will be minus 2. So in this case, if you had the initial value as 5, as it exits the loop, the new loop will be 5 minus, or would be the new value of x would be equals to 5 minus 2, which is the same as 3. So in the next loop we will have it as 3 minus 2, like that. In this case, if the initial value of x was 5, we'll have it in the first loop being the new value of x will be 5 plus 2. In the next loop we'll have it as x being 7 plus 2, like that. Let's move to the next. Next is an x, or a star, sorry, we have a star. So we do a star, an asterisk, equal sign. If we are still dealing with the x, we say x will be the value of x multiplied by whatever is incrementing. Let's say 2. Or in this case we can say x times equals 2, which translates to x being the value of x multiplied by 2. So if the initial value was 10, the new value of x will be x equals to 10 multiplied by 2. In the next loop you will have it as x being 20 multiplied by 2, and so on. If you move to the next, it will be x equals to 40 multiplied by 2, like that. Let's go to the division. Slash equals sign. If we have x, would be slash equal, like that. This translates to x equals to the value of x divided by, if you have a value like 2, you'll have it like that. Or in this sense, if you had 10, if x was 10, you'll have it as 10, the value of x, and the new value of x would be 10 divided by 2. If you move next, you'll have the value of x being 5 as the result. The division of x of 10 over 2 will return 5, and this over 2, like that. In the next, you'll have it as x being 2.5 over 2, like that. We have the modulus equal sign. This translates to x modulus sign, like that. For this case, you are dealing with the reminders. So if you are to do 13 modulus 2, for the first one will be the value of x will be, if you divide these two, what will be the results? You'll get a modulus, the result of x to being 1. In the next, you should have it as the results of division, the results for the division of 2 of 1 by 2, sorry. So you should have it as 1 modulus 2, like that. So that applies if you are doing a loop. Oh, sorry, let me just leave it, not remove it. For the division, let's say the floor division expressed as x, floor division, like that. So this returns the is it the quotient, or the results? If you are dividing a 13 by 2, you should get a 6. Then in the next loop, you get a 6 divide it by 2, you get a 3. So in the next loop, you divide this by 2, you get a 1. You get a 1, like that. So in this case, you are not dealing with the reminders, unlike this case. For the exponential, double star equal sign, we can say in this case, if we are dealing with x, then let me admit whoever is requesting. Yes. So if you are dealing with x, like that, we can say the new value of x equals to, or we can say initially we can say x exponential equal sign, meaning in this case, if you are dealing with the x, the new value of x will be the value of x, like let's say x like that, exponential. Let's say you are raising it to power 2, exponential 2, like that, etc. So if we assume this is 10, it will be the value of x being 10 raised to power that's the power sign, power 2. Or exponential is raised to the power of itself, 10 power 10, sorry, I hope 10 power 10, 10 raised to power 10, sorry. And the same case applies to the other. Exponential is 10 power 10, something raised to the power of itself, sorry. With that brief description, are we in agreement that we've gathered something? Because I want us to do the practical side of it, just as what we've done in the arithmetic operations. So for the first case, the equal sign, we've already done this for long. If you print x h, we should get 20, like that. For the second, which is the increment or the incremental, if let's say you have a list, let's create, we'll do this with a list of mangoes, mango, u2 apple, apple, u2 banana. Then you use a for loop, try a for loop for item in a list, item in list, do that, sorry, for item in list, like that. Let's initialize the value of x here being 1. We say the value of x plus equals 1. Let's print x, like that. What happens if you run? You get 2, 3, 4 because it's incrementing by 1. If the initial value was 0 and you are incrementing it by 5, you should be able to get 5. So the first will be 5, the second one will be 10, the third one will be 15. That is if you are printing after the increment. But if you are doing the printing before, you should get the reverse. You should get a 0, a 5, and a 10. Let's try that. You get a 5, a 0, a 5, and a 10, like that. If the results comes after, you get the value after incrementing, like that. For the decrement, let's see, this is the plus equal sign. We'll switch to the decrement. If you want to decrement these values with the minus sign equals to, let's say this is the initial value is 30 and we are decrementing it by 5, like that. We should get a not a 30, a 25, 20, like that, 25, 20, 15, like that. This is the same as saying x equals x minus 5. Let's try the same here. X equals x minus 5. We have the same result. If you are decrementing it by 2, as you can see, you have 28, 26, 24, like that. That is for the decrement. If we do something else like the multiplication, let's try the multiplication with an equal sign. So here you will do the value of x times equals, let's multiply it by 5 and we switch this value to 5. In every loop you should multiply it by 5. Let's see the results. As you can see, we have 5, which is 5 times 5, 125, which is 25 by 5, the new value of x. Then the other one will be 125 by 5, which is 625, like that. If you multiplying this by 2, you should be able to get 10, because it's the initial value of x is 5. You should return 10. Then in the next loop, it should be 10 times 2, which is 20. The other one will be 20 times 2, which is 40, like that. For the division, let's do that division. Not division, mistake. There's if we are dividing, just do a division there. Let's remove this. Let's try to see what the answer is. You can see 2.5, 1.25, 0. Let's make it a higher value. Let's say 20. If you divide that you should get 10, 5, 2.5. If let's say you do 200, you should get 150, 25. If you're doing 625 by 5, you should get 125, 25, 5, like that. In each loop you get. So let me try showing up something in this, how the real application, the real division happen. So let's print an f string with the current value of x. Then we do at the sign. Sorry, somebody is calling. Let me receive this phone call. Hello? Poa. Takuaje sasa? Sasa natamweka wapi sasa? Na si anafungua tarehe moja? Tarehe 28. Wednesday is in 27th. What? Hey. What? Problems. What? Utakuwa shida ingine.
Hata heri angetoka hiyo siku akifika huko asubuhi. Mfanyie shopping, aingie gari aende shule.
That would be better.
Aingie hapa asubuhi, mchukue uende naye shopping, anunue vitu zake zenye anataka.
Ataenda kulala shule.
Aenda karibia shule. Wacha
Sawa.
Nitakupea jibu jioni.
Sawa.
Namsikia mamake hadi anaongea kuhusu kwa nani kule umlienda kwa nani.
Sasa
aende akalale sijui kwa nani huko bali huko hivyo.
Alafu sasa will they take the responsibility ya kumpeleka?
Alafu sasa huko pia utaikaa lot of expenses. Wacha nione hapo. Wacha nione by today.
Sawa. Sorry for that. Let's carry on. So I was doing this. I do divided by the value of, we do it a 5 like that. The value of x divided by 5 like that. Say equal sign. We'll have to assign our new x. Let's say capital X. Let's do capital X. This is capital X. Then we define our x as 0, small x. Then say, as we divide here with the value of x, we use the value of capital X. Capital X, that is it. We do the new division. We say the value of x, the value of x, we want to maintain what is it, the value of x as a capital X, let's just do them the same. 625. I want one of it to show the results, then the other one to do the decrement. So for the first case, we are going to do the value of x here, do an equal sign, we have the value of capital X. What is this, capital X, like that, so that we showcase this, then we show the result down there, capital X, capital X, capital X, like that. As you can see, we have the first division, the second. Okay, I can just hide this, sorry, I can just hide that, it's not a must. Can see 625 divided by 5, 125, 625. Okay, can see we have the same. Let's do this as capital X. Need to check, let me see. Something is not adding up the way I want. I think we need to go back to the same values. I think we need to do the same values, then hide the print, so that to get the statements, yeah, like that. 625 divided by 5 is 125, 125 divided by 5, 25, 25 divided by 5, we have 5, like that. Let's carry on with the next. I'll go with this comment here, the exponential, I mean the modulus equals sign. So for our case here, we're going to change, let me remove this one, the sign to a modulus, then change this value to 39. Let's do 89. Let's see what is the result. You can see 1111. The remainder is the same, 111. So what it does, it divides 89 by 2, which returns something like 84, not 84 but 42. This is 42, 44, sorry, 44, remainder 1, or the remainder is 1. Then in the next loop it tries to divide 1 by 2, which gets a 0, rem 1. In the other loop it's the same, 1 divided by 2, which results into a 0, rem 1. So if you change this to 3, what does it bring? 2, 2, 2, 2. In whichever case you get a 2. So the first remainder will be 2, because we have 86, which is divisible, and not 86 but 87. The first remainder should be 2. Then when you get to the next loop, x being 2, if you divide it by 3, you get a 0 remainder, the 2. In the next one we just get the same result, or it's just the same case. Let's go to the divisor, the flow divisor hash, which is shown as having the two divisors, sorry, something like that. If we do this as 79, what will be the result? We have 39, 19, 9. So this one gets or assign the value to whatever the result is after dividing this by 2. The first value is 39. If you divide 39 by 2, you get 19. If you divide 19, you get 19 by 2, you get 9. If you change this to 5, let's do 5. The first value is 1530. So if 79 divided by 5, you get 15. Remainder 4. You get a remainder of 4, but 4 is not added or required as the result. So you get the result of a division for the division. Then divide by 15 divided by 5, you get a 3. 3 divided by 5, you get a 0, because 3 is not divisible by 5, which returns 0 remainder with a remainder of 5. For the exponential, just use the same loop. For the exponential, we just do the same loop. Let's say in this loop we do an exponential like that. We pass an exponential here. Try say, let's reduce this to 5. Let's see the results. Sorry. As you can see, we have there are 2 results. Let me do away this first one. Then as you can see, we have the first one as 3125. The next one is a very large value. The other one. So what this means is that you are doing, in the first loop you'll have 5. In the first loop you'll have 5 raised to power 5. The next loop you'll have the result of that being 3125 raised to the same 3125, which returns this value. And the third loop will have this raised to itself, which gives us this value, a very lengthy one. I hope we've covered a number of those them, or they are well explained, and you'll be able to understand everything in future. When you'll understand everything in future when you'll be dealing with them. But for now, for the case of the intro, I hope we've covered something. Just confirm. Yeah. Okay, thank you. The next set is the comparison. The comparison operators, we've already done them, but we'll highlight on them. Comparison. From the word itself, it's comparison. Is it a Z or an S? Comparison. Whichever the case. Comparison. We are these are the operators that are used to compare between two values, or do a comparison between two values. One of the operators being the two double sign, or the two double equal sign, which tries to compare two values. Let's say you have an x, let's say x being 10 and y being 9. You try to compare the two by saying print x equals cos y, like that. The expected results should be a boolean, the one that we just covered. So false. These are not the same. So the two double sign is used to compare two values, like that. Then these are equal sign. Then we have the not equal. The not equal is shown as exclamation mark with an equal sign. This returns a true if two values are not the same. For example, this one returns the first one, as we saw, it returns a true if two values are the same, and returns a false if they are not the same. With this one, it returns a true if those values are not the same, and returns a false if the values are same. For example, in our x being 10 and y being 20, if we try that, check, we print if x is not equal to y, you expect a true because they are not equal. But if the two are equal, let's say you do 10 10, you should get a false because the values are true. So not equal returns a false if the values are true and are actually equal, and returns it returns a true if the values are not equal, and returns a false if the values are equal. Let me put it here. Returns a true if the values are not equal and and false if equal, like that. The other one is the greater than. This is greater than. So if you are to compare the two, let's say this is 10, 20. To compare the two, let's say print x greater than y. You're trying to check is x greater than y. So the result you should get is a true if it is true that x is greater than y, a false if x is not greater than y, like that. Let's check. Get a false because it is very true that x is smaller than y or not greater than y. But if we switch the values to y and x, like that, you should get a true, like that. Next is the less than. Go to the less than. The less than is shown as that, like that. So this one checks if the first value is less than the second value, and if it is true, you get a true. So it is a boolean. Let me comment this first one. It is a boolean, true or false, if the case is proven, like that, like that. Next is the greater than or equal to. We have the greater than or equal to. This compares values and returns a true if it is true that the first value is greater than the second value or the values are equal. It returns a true if first value first value is greater than or equal to the second. So in our case, if we try checking x, let's print x being greater than or equal y if their greater than y, you get a true. Greater than or equal, you get a true. If it is not greater than or equal, you get a false. If you switch or interchange the values in like that, you should be able to get a true, because the first value is greater than the second value. What if the two are equal? If you change this to be equal, you should also get a true if they are equal, and a false if they are not equal, like that. The same applies to the less than or equal to sorry. You have the less than or equal to. So if the first value is less than, we just do the same statement as this one. It returns a true. This one returns a true if the first value is less than or equal to the second value. In this case, if you check, if you try to print x less than or equal to y, if it is true that the value is less than or equal to y, you should get a true. But if it is not the case, you get a false. Like that. With that, we are done with the comparison. You will encounter this for long in your programming journey. This is what you'll be doing mostly. If you, let's say you want to initiate a payment, an online payment, then you have to confirm to if you want to check if that person has something in his or her wallet, you check the amount in a wallet. If it is greater than or equal to what is being requested, you just deduct from the wallet. If the value is less than, you initiate a recharge, so that somebody recharges or adds funds to his or her account, something like that. So these are the same operators you are going to use. We have the logical operators, the logical by logic we have only two, not two, but we have a number of them, sorry. One being the and if you have two statements that you want to compare, let's say you want to check if a value is less than, and at the same time let's say a value is less than 10, and at the same time a value greater than 0, you use an AND. So if you want to gauge a value being between 1 or between value 1 and let's say 10, you say if the value, let's assign this to let's have an x being 20. Now let's test if x is greater than, let's say 10. You want to execute if x is greater than 10 and x less than 50, let's say like that. So such statements are executed using the AND, or are done using the AND. If you want to combine two comparison, these are like comparison operators, but you join two of them, it becomes a logic. Let's print. And what this does is it will only return a true if both statements are true. If it checks this and it becomes true, and the second one becomes true, you will get a true. If either of them is false, you get a false. As you can see, you have a true. X is greater than 10, like that, and x is less than 50. That's why you get a true. But if you change this to be less than, let's say you want to say x less than 10, you should expect a false. As you can see, you get a false because one of the statements, one is right but one is wrong, and for this to return a true, both of them should be true, like that. We have the OR. Now for the OR, if you are comparing two of them, if any of them returns a true, it returns a true. The only case that you get a false is when both of them are false. Sorry, let me change this to or. As you can see, we have a true because one of the statements is true. So if you are comparing a number of statements and one of them returns a true, then that means you'll get a true. But if none of them returns a true, you get a false. So for this case, if both of them returns a true, it's a true. If both of them returns a false, it's a false. If any of them returns a true, is a true. Like that. Let me have it done here. If both are true, you get a true. One of that is one of it. Number two, if any of the two is true, you get a true. If both of the two let's say are false, you get a false. So the only way to get a false is when both of them are false. But if both of them are true, you get a true. If any of them is true, you get a true. Regardless of if any of them are false, you get a true. The other one is the XOR. For those who did logic gates in classes as a unit, the logic gates, I think you have a point here, or you get something. The XOR. The XOR. What does this mean? So the reverse result returns false if it's true. Reverse result returns false if it is true. How do we do this? Let's say we have, let's print, let's have this value here, the XOR, the XOR. Do we have an XOR as a logic? We have an AND. We use a not, and we use a not, like that. Print, so we should have it as a wrapped in one. Okay, like that. So it is true. If not, this is not, this is okay, this is false, and this is false. If any of them is not false, return a true. It returns a true. Let's change this to something else, like x is less than 30. Should get a false. So it returns the reverse. If the result is true, it returns the otherwise. If the result is false, it returns the true. So if it is true that x is less than, x being 20, let's put the value 20 here, 20 less than 10, if it is true, it returns, for the inner logic, you get a true. But now it checks the otherwise, not that. If not this 20 less than 20 less than 10, you return the opposite, like that. I hope we are making progress. Yeah, great. Let's move to the next. The next is identity. The identity operators. Identity operators, we have only two of them, one being is and the other being is not. Is not. Is and is not. Just it is pure English. Is or is not. So for example, if you have two values, the is, if you have two values x and y, x being, so let's do x being 10 and y being 10, then you try to check the two. Let's say you want to do x is, let's print here, let's print x is y. If they are not the same, you should get a false. X is y, you can say you get a false. But if the two are the same, like that, you should get a true, like that. X is y. So it returns a true if the values are equal, but a false if the values are not the same. For the other one, is not returns a true if the values are not equal, but a false if they are equal. In this case, let's try here. So we do is not y. So if they are not equal, you get a false. If they are not equal, you get a true. Let me clear the first one. If they are equal, you get a false, like that. Because the two values are the same, you get a false. But if you change one of them, take them to 19, you get a true. The two values are not the same. This is like you say confirm if these two values are not the same. Yes, they are not the same. You say true, they are not the same. If you say confirm if these values are not the same and they are the same, you say no, they are not, they are the same. So that means you are in the false side. I'm in the false side. Then we have the membership operators. The membership operators checks returns are true if something exists in let's say a list. Let's consider our list, the previous list. We do a fruits list. If let's say you have mangoes, mango, then you have like a banana, then you have like apple. Now if you are to check that a value exists, there's an operator you use. That operator is in. Now if you are to check if something is in this list, let's say if mango in fruits, in our fruits, like that, then print mango should be in quotes because this is a string. Print, you say mango is in, sorry, is in, then you pass the fruits, you can pass the fruits list. If not, you can say mango not in, the mango is not in. You can say else. You can say mango is not in, like that. Let's run our code. You can see mango is in banana because you have mango. What if you change to orange? Change to orange. Check if orange exists. You can say, oh, sorry, this should be orange. You should change everything to be orange, like that. So if orange does not exist, it tells you orange is not in. So if you want to check if something exists in a list or in a collection, you use the in membership operator, like that. So the opposite will be not in. So that is in. If you are to do the opposite, you'll do the not in. Not in. Not in, like that. Not in. Not in. So if it is true that whatever you're checking is not existing in your list, you should get a true. If it exists, you get a false. So in this case, we are going to check if orange in a list, then we have this here. We'll interchange the values. This one will be, or we'll interchange the result, this one will be here. So if it is true that orange is not in the fruits, then orange is not in the fruit, sorry. It will return a true. Somebody is requesting. Yeah, it returns a true. If it is false, it will go to the next. Let's run our code. As you can see, orange is not in the mango because we are checking if it is not in. So if it is not in, the value, the boolean value will be a true. If it is in, the boolean value should be a false. Then we get this executed. Now what if we check if mango exists? If mango not in fruits, what result do we expect? We expect that it is there. So if it is not there, it is under the true. If it is there, it is going to fall under the false block. So let's see. Here we see mango is in because it is false that the fruit mango is not. It is not true that false the mango fruit is not in the fruits list. So if you are to check that something is in, you use the in membership operator. If you want to confirm that something does not exist in a given list, use the not in. So if it does not exist and you used the in, you'll get a false. If it exists and you use the not in, you get a false. I hope that is okay. Confirm if you understood. Yeah, thank you. For the other set, the bitwise, I don't think that we must check on it because mostly we don't use it, the bitwise. These are the most common, but we'll address them. We'll address them in future. I wanted us to move to the next session, which deals with the lists. Remember we did integers, we did strings. We now need to move to the lists. We deal with the operations that are done in a list, something like looping through a list, appending a list, deleting something from a list. So we need to cover all that. But for the interest of time, I don't know if we can have the same session at 7 so that we take a break. But before we go, we deal with the assignment. Are we in the same what do you call it? Are we in agreement? Hello, confirm. So we do the assignment, then at 7 we meet, we deal with the list. We can spare 2 hours or 1 hour at between the 7 to 9 p.m. We just move through what we can do in a list, and the same operation will be done in tuples and dictionaries. Then with that, at least you'll have covered a lot in Python. I don't know if this is the same you did in class, because I was not there in class. The first 2 classes I didn't attend. What I attended was on the file handling, of which that file handling is a class on its own, and it's a bit lengthy. So just confirm if you did the same, or some of the things we've covered were not covered. Share your comments, at least muongee kidogo. Yes, I am inviting the members. Speak out. Okay, Simon is saying we did not cover. Who else has a view? And if you feel like we've covered something, you can just say something. The floor is yours. Just confirm if it is the same that we that was covered, or so Lagat says we covered everything in class, so everything was covered. Collins, open your mic. Say something. Say something, yeah? Ian, you can say something. You have Enoch.
We didn't cover this.
But I hope you've captured something, because this is the same thing you are going to encounter in the programming life. To my side also, while I was being taught on programming, or in programming, most of these things were never covered. I don't know why the trainers do skip them, but every detail, be it small in Python, as long as it is explained well, you'll be good. Okay, thank you. So we agree that we'll come back at 7. We deal with the list, because that is the most important part. For those who will be doing like data science, those who will be doing the web development under Django or Flask, most of the objects are always done in, or all the operations that you do when querying and passing that values to the front end is always done in a list. You get a list, change it to a dictionary, pass it to the front end for display. So if you get how to add, maybe you've requested a query and you feel that you want to add other items, you need to see or understand all the operations that you can do. Maybe you've done a query and it has a lot of objects that you may not need, or you do not want to pass to the front end. You just remove them. How do you deal with that? All the operations are done under the list. So we are going to cover that. Mimi nimejitolea mjue hii kitu. Sitaki kuwadanganya. Thank you. Now to the assignment. Mlifanya? To the assignment. Did you do it? Who did the assignment? Hello? Or was there a challenge in dealing with assignments? Hello? Or are we? Should we take a break and come at 7? Because I can see to my side also. I feel like my energy is depreciating. I need to refresh. Thank you. So we meet at 7. And if there's any other member who has a query or wish to join, you can just tell them, because what I came to know from the class, some of these things are explained as if you are pros. So if you already have a background in Python or programming, you'll find an easy life. But if you are a beginner, problem starts from there, because you just see people speaking about or saying about file handling. You just see the exempt, try, you don't know what they are, you get confused. But if you get the basic information about all of them, when you encounter them in class, you just feel okay and everything is smooth. So we agree at 7 we meet. Thank you for your time. Thank you.